Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Blake's Everyday Podcast. I got it right again. 2 in a row. Oh man. What a day. It's finally Friday tomorrow. Or when you see this, it'll be Friday already. But we finished off at chapter 16 last night of Genesis, and so we'll be on chapter 17. Hope everybody had a great Thursday. I know it's been a pretty hectic week for me, but it's getting better. It's getting a lot better, and that's important. Feeling a lot better coming from Tuesday, or I believe it was Tuesday. Maybe it was Tuesday. My team did lose tonight, Tampa Bay Lightning, which, hey, you win some, you lose some. Played a great team in the Carolina Hurricanes. They're also up there, with the rankings and stuff. And it was a high scoring game, 5-4. A lot of people, sticking out their bodies, sacrificing their bodies for the puck, keep it out of the net. There at the end, it was pretty crazy. I mean, we have a guy named Bjork Strand. He literally blocked like probably 3 or 4 shots. And I mean, we had an empty net, so he's just full on like laying down on the ice, like jumping in front of the puck. It's like, dang, dude. And those pucks, they're not soft. They hurt. I haven't played actual ice hockey, but I have messed around a little bit with like some roller hockey and stuff. And yeah, even the street hockey pucks, those would hurt as well. And even the balls, I'm not afraid to take one of those like hockey balls and take it in the knee or the chest. I've taken one in the face before. The worst it can do is bruise you. But those pucks, I mean, can you imagine just losing all your teeth? Not I, Popeye. But so tonight we're going to start off at chapter 17. Hopefully we'll get I'm hoping that we can get to about chapter 21. These chapters do seem pretty long here until we get to chapter 20. Chapter 20 is pretty short. So we'll see what happens, but might as well get the ball rolling, right? I am happy that everybody's joining me tonight for this. I love doing this. It makes my day better. I look forward to it every single day because I do this every day. From now on, since the beginning, but from now on, I'm going to do this every day, and it gives me something to look forward to. I'm reading the Bible, which is what the main focus is. Not just for YouTube, but just, me, myself, I love having something that keeps me focused on reading the Bible. And I think that's important. Is actually, it's like, keeps me disciplined. Yeah, that's the word. It's keeping me disciplined to read the Bible every night. And that was pretty much, in my heart, that was one of the main things. But also, I like the idea of being raw with the camera and, reading the Bible. I know my pronunciations suck. I'm just a short, chubby white guy from the Midwest that lives in Florida, So I got a little bit of a southern twang and a Midwest twang. So bear with me when I read some crazy names that might sound like, but what can you do? Well, I can tell you what I need to do is I need to just learn how to pronounce names, but we'll save that for another day. But enough of my rambling. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and get started at chapter 17. The title of chapter 17 is The Covenant of Circumcision. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am God Almighty. Walk before me faithfully and be blameless. Then I will make my covenant between me and you, and will greatly increase your numbers. Abram fell face down, and God said to him, As for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham. For I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you for the generations to come, to be your God and the God of your descendants after you. The whole land of Canaan, where you now reside as a foreigner, I will give as an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you, and I will be their God. Then God said to Abraham, As for you, you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you for the generations to come. This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you. The covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. For the generations to come, every male among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised, including those born in your household or bought with money from a foreigner. Those who are not your offspring, whether born in your household or bought with your money, they must be circumcised. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who has not been circumcised in the flesh will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God also said to Abraham, As for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, Will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Then God said, Yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time next year. When he had finished speaking with Abraham, God went up from him. On that very day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and all those born in his household or bought with his money, every male in his household, and circumcised them as God told him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13. Abraham and his son Ishmael were both circumcised on that very day, and every male in Abraham's household, including those born in his household or bought from a foreigner, was circumcised with him. Wow. So we're going to go ahead and read the descriptions. I don't have too much to ramble about on that one. I will say it's kind of crazy. I know it's way back when, but, buying babies off of foreigners, that's pretty wild. Again, this is a long time ago, obviously. But, yeah. All right, chapter 17, verses 5 through 6. Since Abram was childless, his name, meaning exalted father, must have been a source of embarrassment to him. Here it is changed to Abraham, which means father of many. Abraham's name is a real sense. Abraham's name in a real sense became his promise from God. It would have been a continual reminder and source of hope that God would come through for him in the end. So I didn't know Abram meant exalted father. That's pretty interesting. And I also didn't know Abraham meant father of many. But there's a lot of things that I don't know, and that's why we are reading, right? So, chapter 17, verses 9 through 10, and then 24 through 27, many of our significant relationships are symbolized by an outward sign. For example, married people wear rings as a sign of their marriage commitment. Circumcision was a sign of the agreement or covenant between God and Abraham. It was a mark by which Abraham's descendants were set apart as God's special people. Inner changes need to be accompanied by outer signs. Beliefs need to be proven by actions. As changes begin to take place inside, we need to express these changes outwardly in our actions and lifestyle. All right, so there's the descriptions. And we're going to go ahead and head on to chapter 18. The title for chapter 18 is The Three Visitors. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way, now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered. "Do as you say." So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. "Quick," he said, "get 3 seahs of the finest flour and knead it and bake some bread." Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice, tender calf and gave it to a servant, who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. "Where's your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There in the tent," he said. Then one of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I did not laugh." But he said, "Yes, you did laugh." Abraham pleads for Sodom. That's the title of this from chapter 16. I meant not chapter 16, but verse 16. When the men got up to leave, they looked down towards Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him, so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him." Excuse me. Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin so grievous, so grievous, so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. The men turned away and went toward Sodom, and Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right?" The Lord said, "If I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Then Abraham spoke up again. "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5 people?" "If I find 45 there," he said, "I will not destroy it." Once again he spoke to him. "What if only 40 are found there?" He said, "For the sake of 40, I will not do it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there?" He answered, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." Abraham said, "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there?" He said, "For the sake of 20, I will not destroy it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there?" He answered, "For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it." When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. All right, that was the end of chapter 18. So now we got some descriptions here. So chapter 18, verses 1 through 6, Hebrews 13:2 urges the practice of hospitality, since some have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. Abraham's treatment of the 3 strangers here may have been the background for this verse in Hebrews. Surely this is an example to be followed. As we progress spiritually, one of our goals is to help others to discover the new way of life that we have found. What better way than to be hospitable towards others? Chapter 18, verses 17 through 19. Many people wonder why God chose one man and his family out of all others. Was this fair? These verses show us that God had an important purpose for choosing this one family. God picked Abraham so he could teach his descendants God's ways. For though his ancestral line would come Jesus the Messiah, a source of blessing for all the nations of the earth, God never planned to bless only one family. God chose one family to bring blessings and a means of redemption to all of us. Chapter 18, verses 22 through 32. Often we are urged to pray for others who have problems and difficulties. In these verses, we hear Abraham as he entreats God on behalf of Lot and his family. He is deeply concerned for their welfare and intercedes for them as he speaks with God. We too are to reach out and help others who are in need. Prayer is a powerful means of doing this. All right. So those were the descriptions for chapter 18. Yeah, I mean, definitely need to keep praying for people, it's always important to kind of, I like to throw in some of the crazy stuff going around in the world. But, it's important just to keep them in your thoughts, and you think about all those people getting all those Christians even getting beheaded in those different countries, and it's traumatic. It's God says, every Christian will be. Dang, dude, I just had that word in my head too. But we will be. Dang. When it comes to me, I will bring it up. Even if I'm reading, I'll be like, oh, wait, here it is. No, basically, we're all gonna be crucified, all Christians will be crucified in our own way. We'll all be put down in a way. But we'll go ahead and continue. I'm definitely gonna have to remember that word though. And persecuted. Oh, there we go. Persecuted. We'll all face persecution as Christians. God says that. So, just be ready to be persecuted at some point in your life. And that's what those people are going through right now. But we shall continue on chapter 19. The title for chapter 19 is Sodom and Gomorrah Destroyed. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square. But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them. Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. Get out of our way, they replied. This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. We'll treat you worse than them. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so that they could not find the door. The 2 men said to Lot, do you have anyone else here, sons-in-laws, sons or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry of the Lord against his people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city. But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, hurry, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished. When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand and in the hands of his wife and of his 2 daughters, and led them safely out of the city. For the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, flee for your lives. Don't look back, and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away. But Lot said to them, no, my lords, please, your servant has found favor in your eyes. and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life, but I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I'll die. Look, here is a town near enough to run, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared. He said to him, Very well, I will grant this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly. Because I cannot do anything until you reach it. That is why the town was called Zoar, had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plan, destroying all those living in the cities, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Wow. Okay. So she looked back and became a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the land of the plain, and he saw dense smoke rising from the land, like smoke from a furnace. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot had lived. Lot and his daughters. Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. One day the older daughter said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children. As is the custom all over the earth, let's get our father to drink wine and then sleep with him, and preserve our family line through our father. That night, they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, Last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and sleep with him, so we can preserve our family line through our father. So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites of today. Wow, lots to take in there. So the other day I was reading that description that Lot, slept with his daughters, which was terrible. And I was like, ew, that's disgusting. Which it is disgusting, but it's even weird. Well, it's not even weirder, but it's gross either way. It's very gross. But I didn't even take that into consideration that they were going to get him drunk and sleep with them when he was blacked out. That's kind of crazy. But in fact, this whole book of Genesis is pretty crazy. But chapter 19, verse 16, even after Lot became aware of his impending doom of Sodom, he and his family continued to linger there. The angels had to physically force them to leave. Sometimes, even when we know what course of action is required, we need a push to get us moving. Let us thank God for the angels he has provided to help us through times of crisis. At other times, we may be needed to pull others out of situations that are dangerous for them. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like, when like somebody that's being that's got like domestic violence going on, and it's important, even though they think that they can stay with that person, they need that pull, It's important to have somebody give you that tug to freedom, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot of that going on in our world today, and it's just crazy to me. Lots of domestic violence and stuff. Lots of murders and all that. It's a wild world out there, boys and girls. But back to the descriptions, chapter 19, verses 17 through 26. As we seek to escape our sinful ways and the consequences of them, there is no looking back, no lingering. Doing so will only result in our destruction. Lot's wife failed to follow the instructions the angels had set out for her family. They were to run from Sodom, never looking back. Lot's wife did look back, and it spelled her destruction. As we leave the destructive situations in our lives, it will be tempting to look back. But this final episode in the life of Lot's wife demonstrates the fatal consequences. We need to run without looking back. And that kind of ties in with drug addiction and stuff like that. People relapse, and lots of times when people do relapse, they overdose. It's kind of the same situation there when you kind of put it in that perspective. It's interesting. So, another description here, chapter 19, verses 30 through 38. The incest in Lot's family was a direct consequence of Lot's irresponsible decisions in the past. He had spent his years in a wicked city and had failed to find suitable husbands for his daughters. Their desire for children led to deceit and incest. But there is hope beyond the shocking details of this story. Even though Lot failed in so many ways, many centuries later, the Apostle Peter used him as a clear example of one of whose righteousness came by grace through faith. 2 Peter chapter 2, verses 7 through 8. Lot was an extremely flawed person, but God is a gracious God. There is hope available for each of us, even if we are leaving behind a sordid past. Yeah. I don't have much to say after that. But yeah, all right. So now we're going to be on chapter 20. We do have one description after chapter 20, and then we're probably going to pray and call it a night, which that's probably a good idea because we're already 33 minutes in. So Abraham and Abimelech is the title for chapter 20. Now Abraham moved on from there into the region of Negev and lived between Kadesh and Shur. For a while he stayed in Gerar, and there Abraham said to his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." Then Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelech in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is married. She is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not gone near her, so he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister'? And didn't she also say, 'He is my brother'? I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and all who belong to you will die." Early the next morning, Abimelech summoned all his officials, and when he told them all that had happened, they were very much afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham in and said, "What have you done to us? How have I wronged you that you have brought such great guilt upon me and my kingdom? You have done the things to me that should never be done." And Abimelech asked Abraham, "What was your reason for doing this?" Abraham replied, "I said to myself, there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, through not of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I said to her, this is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere we go, say of me, he is my brother." Then Abimelech brought sheep and cattle and male and female slaves and gave them to Abraham, and he returned Sarah, his wife, to him. And Abimelech said, "My land is before you. Live wherever you like." To Sarah he said, "I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated." Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female slaves, so they could have children again. For the Lord had kept all the women in Abimelech's household from conceiving because of Abraham's wife Sarah. And that was the end of chapter 20. We are going to read this description real quick. Chapter 20, verses 1 through 18. Why is it so difficult to learn life's most important lessons? To protect himself, Abraham lied, telling Abimelech that his wife Sarah was his sister. The sad truth is, Abraham had made this mistake before. Chapter 12, verses 10 through 20. He had fallen into a pattern of using lies to deceit to protect himself, but this practice only caused pain to everyone involved. It also displayed how weak Abraham's faith in God was. When he was confronted with how weak Abraham's faith in God was when confronted with difficult decisions. The truth is crucial to building healthy relationships. If we stand by the truth, we can trust God to stand by us when things get tough. All right. That was the end of chapter 20. We'll start at chapter 21 tomorrow. I think this is a good ending. A good spot to stop. Let's go and say a prayer real quick, if you guys don't mind. But, surely you don't, else you wouldn't be listening to the Bible. Dear God, we thank you for keeping us happy and healthy and just safe all around. This world is a dangerous place. It's dark, and we know you're coming. It's coming before we know it. We just pray that you keep us in your hands tonight, and we just are so blessed that you let us lay our heads in our beds tonight, and that we're not a part of this craziness. And maybe whoever does eventually listen to this, if they are in the craziness, we are praying for you. We love you, Lord, and we will continue to walk with you on this journey. In God's name, amen. All right, guys, I appreciate you listening. This was my 10th video, so 10 videos in. It's pretty cool. Like I said, tomorrow we'll start off on chapter 21, and we'll see how far we can get from there. I do appreciate you listening, and I hope you have a great night. Thanks.